Yes, this is a question for Tatiana. Are you considering writing a long novel with several primary characters? I know you've written novellas up until this point. Are you considering any 400-page novels or complex stories? Is it something that you're interested in, or do you prefer shorter concepts?
Eu tenho projeto de romance
I have
maior.
a project of a longer novel. It's a project I've had for over 10 years, but I keep writing it. And the other books, the shorter ones, they impose themselves as I go. The book I'm going to launch now, it's a little bit longer, but it's not huge, about 250 pages. But it's not a book with many characters. I can't answer your question. I do have the desire. Somewhere in me, I do. But somewhere in me, I don't. Because I end up doing something else. Maybe this is my way of writing or my style or my way of looking at the world with shorter formats.
But I also think that what you write tends to be sit within what is quite common in Brazil. Novels tend to have be shorter, and they're what we would maybe call novellas in English, but that's the length that you quite often see in Brazil. I think more often than not, in fact.
É verdade. Em Portugal, por exemplo, também não é assim.
In Portugal, we have a lot of large novels. There's this tradition of large novels, and it's an ongoing tradition. Maybe contemporary Brazilian prose is somehow more incisive. And this book, we work with details. We work with details, but in a restricted format. When we think about this novel with many characters and many events, 400 pages, there's an excess of details. That's what makes a large novel, all these details. And maybe this Brazilian prose tends to take the excess out. Maybe it's more straightforward. Maybe it is connected to what Brazil is, or the Portuguese language in Brazil. I don't know. Someone should study that, actually.
But that happens more now, isn't it? In the past, we have like Jorge Amado or even Guimarães Rosa, isn't it? Which they wrote,
Não, mas o Guimarães Rosa fez romanção, ou depois fez monte de...
Guimarães Rosa wrote one big novel, and then he wrote many short stories and shorter.
The Grande Sertão Veredas, isn't it? Yeah. I was thinking about Jorge Amado as well, which,
O Érico Veríssimo também.
Érico Veríssimo as well. I think it's something that's a characteristic of our contemporary prose. But still, we have Cidade de Deus, City of God. Cidade de Deus, there's something interesting about it. Paulo Lins, the original version, and after the movie came out, Paulo Lins cut a lot from the book, a fourth of the book. I don't know which version Alison translated, but the version most people read is a shorter version. He edited it.
The original book had 600 pages, and the second version had 400 pages, and I translated based on the newer edition that had been released before I started translating it. And I think there were problems because the film had been made, the film had come out, and they had all kinds of people come out of the woodworks and say, "You've used my real name, you can't." And they had huge legal problems. And so he had to go back and actually edit the book to replace all of the names. And then he thought, why not? I'll just do a new edition. And he cut a lot. But it was, so he cut down at least a third out of the book. And it's, it is still big, huge.
Well, I think that's the thing about going back and reading your own work a few years later, isn't it? You find, this is not necessary, and you start cutting. And...
Eu tô com um problema agora na Chave de Casa, que é o primeiro livro, que ano que
In
vem...
my first book, The House in Smyrna, next year, the publisher, they want to run a special edition. They've been doing this every once in a while now. And I tweaked it. The first edition in Portugal in May, it came out in May 2007, and it was already different from the edition that came out in December in Brazil. And for the new prints, I cut it, I edited it, but now I think I have edited it too much. I'm not sure which edition we should use right now, which version. Maybe I'm going to do a new one. Something funny. I don't know if it was the German translator or the Spanish translator. She said, I am translating, but it's weird because I have a PDF that's different from the print book that I have. And I said, pick whatever you want to translate. I don't even know, not even I know anymore.
So for the people in universities that are going to study the translations next to the book, be really careful. Before you blame the translator, blame the writer.
Yes.
Yeah, I always wonder about is that, you know, probably the writer altered the whole thing.